In this video, we are back in Planet Zoo and we're going to be creating a primate house. I was actually quite excited building this, and I'm excited to show you this video because quite a lot of people have actually asked me to build a primate house and make a video about it. So here it is, you ask, you get. And I started off with this one modular piece. Now I'm going to be building one modular piece here of glass, put a little trim around it, made it all pretty with a little planter on the outside as well, and then we put it on the grid, so it was quite easy to then duplicate it over. I have done a tutorial about building stuff like this on the grid, so if you're not sure how to do it, go and check out my tutorials. But it was so easy. You can see me just literally just duplicating these pieces over, and because I was building the house part of the primate house, I wanted it square anyway, so it was really simple to do. Once I got one piece, it was quite easy to then duplicate everything over and get the other pieces and just slot them in, a bit like Lego. I'm not going to let you know what animal I actually am building for. Obviously, it's going to be a primate, but I'll leave it towards the end of the video when you see me put the animal in and see the animal running about in there for you to find out. But once all those pieces were together, it looked like this. I've added some planters in the corner as well, and I've kind of like set the corners back and added some wooden pieces. I just added loads of detail in like trim and stuff like this. But this is going to be the house part of the primate house. It's also going to act as the hard shelter for the animal. This is the external hard shelter. I will have a more private hard shelter beyond this for the animal because I really wanted to focus on animal welfare as well, making it not too small of a habitat, not too big of a habitat, so people could download it off my Steam Workshop page, and the link is in the description to my Steam Workshop page. I'm not just going to have this habitat on there, I've got loads of stuff on there if you've not already seen it. And by the way, if you are new to my videos and you do play Planet Zoo, you're probably going to want to subscribe to my channel, and that's not me being egotistical or big-headed here. Like, I have loads of tutorials and I upload a video every single week. Well, I try to anyway, but sometimes real life gets in the way of that. Anyway, so if you are new to my videos like this one, then please hit that subscribe button. You can see me just putting the roof on here, and I do what I do every time I want to thin a roof on any of my builds in Planet Zoo, really. And I put an on the grid thicker plaster piece, a banger off the grid thinner plaster piece on the top by using the position snap, and then I just duplicate everything over on the grid. This way everything stays in the same grid system and by the same meters, and everything's to scale. And then you can just go ahead and delete the on the grid thicker plaster pieces and then lower down the thinner plaster pieces, and you've got a thinner custom roof which is in proportion to the actual building that you've just built. You can see me now just lowering that thinner roof once the on the grid pieces were deleted down and level with the building itself. And then I moved on to what I would normally do first, and that is the main viewing area using the mesh pieces. You can see I've got two mesh pieces stacked on top of each other, so it's about 8 meters this piece as a whole. And then I'm going to put these wires at the bottom, and you can see what I'm doing here once I've grouped the wires and the mesh is I'm trying to get a smoothed, curved viewing area, smooth curved barrier to create a viewing area. So I didn't want it at 15 degrees. I could have just put angle snap on and done it at 15 degrees. It would have been much easier. But like I said, I just wanted it really smooth and natural flowing curve. Like a slight curve. I didn't want it straight. I didn't want it too curved, like circular. I wanted a nice curve. So what I did is I put angle snap on 15, and then I moved it out, and then all I had to do was angle snap 15 degrees one way, so away from the mesh, and then one way on inside the mesh, and you can see me doing that now. And then I just place them both down. I turn angle snap off, and then I just slide one right in the middle, as center as I possibly can. It can be a little bit tricky to do this. Look, they get different views and get on top of it like you see me doing, and then just delete the other two what you originally placed, and this will create a nice smooth curve in anything you're creating when you're playing about with angles. And once the barrier was in place in that curve, it looks a little something like this. Ignore the path. I was just trying to figure out how I'm actually going to path this. I'm actually going to cover the path with my own custom path, so ignore that. But you can see I've put a little bit of details. I've put the poles in, and I've put these little like metal bolts as well in there to add a little bit more realism. Right, we need a curb to separate the barrier from the guest barrier. And in that gap we can then put a bunch of foliage to spruce up the area and create a natural looking barrier. I've added leaf litter on there as well, again for a little even more realism. Right, let's grab this set of backdrop walls, which are on my Steam Workshop page if you want to use them, and let's put them on the backdrop of this viewing area, following the same curve as the barriers, just like that. Now, I really struggled what to do on the top, but I just ended up grabbing the wire pieces, what were on top of the original mesh barrier that we put in, and I just layered them and joined them together at the top, giving the impression that it's closed off at the top from the front of the viewing area. I couldn't put mesh in between, I just struggled getting the angles correct, but it looks like mesh would actually be in between when you get a good look from the front. And you can turn climbing off on some building pieces in Planet Zoo, so that's what I just did with these to stop our primates escaping. Now it was time to start building the hard shelter and the backstage area, and where our habitat gate will be for this animal. And you can see I've created this custom wall here, which I'm just currently placing in, but let me show you how I went about doing so. First, grab a plaster piece, or not on the grid plaster piece, then put another plaster piece on the bottom, because this is going to act as cement, which will make sense as you see me putting these other plaster pieces of a different colour to give a tiled look, and then that plaster piece behind it gives it the look of cement. And then I just layered some of the conservation wood pieces at an angle to create a wood wall effect. Add a trim to the side of this wall piece, again with the conservation wood piece, the thinner one this time. And there you go, we have an on the grid custom wall. I can then easily duplicate it like you see me doing now. Drag a box over it, duplicate it over, and start building our hard shelter and backstage area. Now, as to be aesthetically pleasing, I love having different height variants when it comes to building buildings in Planet Zoo, so I created this taller 8 by 4 meter wall, and again used a tile effect, a total tile effect this time with no wood. And then once again, all I have to do is duplicate this over, and I can add it to the original building that you can see I have placed down for the hard shelter entrance. Now, we're actually about to skip forward a little bit of time here, but don't worry, if you feel like you've missed anything, I will give you a full tour at the end of this video of the habitat and anything you might have missed or not picked up on. But basically, I just placed all these around the outside of the original viewing area where our backdrop is, and just created a hard shelter area and then separated it from the hard shelter to the backstage area with these same tile pieces. So there's not actually that much for me to show you. I just went ahead and added another thin plaster roof to the roof and a little window next to the door to the front, which you can see just in the bottom left now. But I actually added a climbing frame. Look at that. Pretty good, isn't it? Well, you'd be surprised in me saying that I actually didn't create it. These are the prefabs what Planet Zoo give you themselves. So if you just click on habitat and go on climbing structures for primates, then you can have these as well. And I just place them down. Okay, this bit I had to get a bit creative and create like a little tunnel to the private backstage hard shelter area. But other than that, these are all prefab made. I just placed them in and added some ropes here and there. Now to spruce everything up and add a bunch of foliage around these climbing frames in this viewing area, I guess. And there was no method behind my madness here. I just kind of layered a load of buffalo grass and shrubs and stuff in there. I kind of just do it randomly when I'm creating the habitat, any habitat really. Buffalo grass is your best friend, honestly, it really is. It acts as a filler, a gap filler, and it just works really well. Right, let's start building now the external barrier. This is going to be the handrail and the barrier. Well, it's going to stop our guests trying to climb over into the habitat or the kids sticking the bloody fingers, what are their bloody fingers into the fencing, into the mesh fencing. This is what's going to prevent that, and it's going to make the habitat a hell of a lot better. Just something so simple like this. This is going to be like 3 pieces, isn't it? And you can see me just building it here with a mixture of metal pieces and wood pieces. But it's going to be a small amount of pieces, but it just makes such a big difference as a habitat once it's in place. It makes everything look so much better and so much realistic, and I love building them actually and seeing what I can do in such a small space. And I kept it quite simple. You can see quite a simple handrail there, and then I just layered these wood pieces, recolored once again to silver to make them look like metal, and then I tried to get them at the right angles to get the right curve. Like we have a curve with the barrier, we have a curve with the with the natural barrier with the curb, so I wanted a curve with the handrails / guest fencing as well, and it was quite time consuming. If you see me just adjusting the weather here where the sun is me trying to get enough light on the area and trying to work in to be able to actually see what I'm bloody doing. Might be me, my age, might just be going blind. I do wear glasses. Anyway, building the barrier, and once I had 3 pieces, it was quite easy to rotate around. I thought it might be even easier by using angle snap. It wasn't. Obviously the angles were all misplaced, so I had to turn that off and then do them 3 piece by 3 piece. But once I had one side, like I always say, I had the other side, didn't I? So then I quite easily just played about rotating them and got them level, kind of creating a natural curve once again with the guest barrier. And how better does that look? Now that's in. You can see we just extended that leaf litter as well, because I kind of like ended up hiding it by creating the barrier. On the inside where the habitat gate is going to be, you can see I've actually placed that in. I'll show you how I did the no barriers in a second, but I did what I did in every single backstage area what I've ever created in Planet Zoo pretty much, and I added a trim just on the inside. I don't know why I did it. I think I actually saw this on Reddit one day and I thought, right, yeah, I'm just going to do that from now on, and it just kind of looks good, and probably something what you would see in a realistic, real life backstage area. See, we're just adding a window now, so our zookeepers, even this thought is a staff zone, it's going to give the impression that zookeepers and vets can come in and get a good view of the animals without actually entering the habitat, to see if they're okay and stuff like that, if they need any help or if they're hungry or anything like that. But yeah, I'm just adding a trim to this trim to the trim. That's what I'm doing here. Once again, with the conservation wood pieces. That trim's actually the stained wood piece, I believe it's called. And like I said, I do this in every single backstage area. Once I've got one side, I've got the other. I just need to group it all together, rotate it, and I can just place it on the other side. Now, let's add the all-important props. And if you have seen my videos before, I use my own prop sets off my Steam Workshop page. Link is in the description. But it ended up looking like this. Now, I do always like to show how I did the habitat gate, where I put it, and how I did the null barriers, because I still see a lot of people struggle with it and people ask me about it. So I always like to show it in my videos. And it's quite basic, really. You find a place where you want to put your habitat gate, like I have done normally, in a designated area inside of a building, which you're going to have a backstage area, and then just run these null barriers around the outside of the habitat. I can't stress that enough. Don't do it through the barriers. Don't do it on the inside of the barriers. Do it on the outside, and that will prevent the escape notifications, and your custom made walls, custom made barriers will stop your animals escaping. And then when you get to the end, like you can see the barrier here, you just simply connect it like so back to the habitat gate, and just give you a look from above. This is what it looks like. And here we go, the habitat is complete. Let me show you a couple of things which I've added. You can see for the front here, I added some of these education boards. Now, a lot of people ask me how I do these. It's very quite simple. You just take the screen. See this, for example, if I can actually get on the bloody thing, is the screen panel 1 meter by 1 meter. And then there's a drop down menu here, and you can just choose which animal you want in there. Just scroll down and you will see wide, and then just change your animal. And this actually probably gives away what animal I've put in this habitat. And you can see the cheeky monkey in here just climbing through these bushes. Oh, they're both actually in here, just coming out of the foliage now. The white-faced Saki, or Seki, don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. They're actually quite cute and quite funny looking. They've obviously got a white face, which is quite peculiar. And they never seem to look very happy. Aggressive little bleemers. Bleemers? I've just made my own word up. But they are in there. They are happy. They're actually loving the climbing frames provided for them. And let me just I know I've touched on the climbing frames, but all I had to do was add the prefabs in and just rotate some of these wooden pieces through this window. So the idea is the primates, our animals, will go through here. By the way, you don't have to use the primate I've used. If you want to download this off the Steam Workshop page, you can put whatever monkey in the ear you want to. But yeah, basically I just put them this through the window, and they can climb through here. They've got a little climbing frame here. They've also got, I don't know why he just faced through there, that's part of the habitat, but anyway, they've got like a little house here which is all sort of viewing area, all with one-way glass as well, just to add a little bit more privacy. But if they want even more privacy, they can climb on through this gap, we've created this mesh tunnel, and then down here into their own private area, which from this side you can get a good view of, while the zookeepers can anyway. And I'll just come in now, and you can see I just created kind of these mesh structures to give them like an area to sleep in, and if our zookeepers or vets can lock them off for any medical reasons, they can do so. And there we go, that concludes this build and this video. Like I said, it will be on my Steam Workshop page, and if you did like this video, please hit that like button. It is appreciated very much. Subscribe if you've not already, it's free to do so. And I'm going to leave you with this brilliant view of the animals, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.